thus begun in order, be conducted in peace, and closed in harmony. Amen.
Item 3 is approval of the agenda. Can I have a motion to approve the agenda?
Mr. President,
Trustee Davis.
make a motion to approve the agenda.
Can I have a second?
Mr. President,
Trustee Taglia.
I'll second the motion.
Questions or comments? Roll call, please.
Trustee Bolfus?
Yes.
Trustee Taglia?
Yes.
Trustee Case?
Yes.
Trustee Bullwinkle?
Yes.
Trustee Davis?
Yes.
President Colleton?
Yes. All right, just so everybody knows, we are now at the committee of the whole portion of the meeting. So that means on each item that we go through, items 4, 5, 6, and 7, there will be time at each portion to speak on that, and there will be open part for public comment. And then when we get to the regularly scheduled board meeting, you'll see there will be a time for public comment on agenda items and then public comment on non-agenda items. So item 4, consider architectural services for pool assessment and planning. Manager Keener.
Thank you, Your Honor. The village pools are in need of repair, refurbishing, or replacement within the next few years. The Parks and Recreation Department's purpose is to hire an architectural firm for all phases of the project for both pools, starting with the first critical step in architectural and engineering evaluation and assessment. The Parks and Recreation Director, Superintendent, and Recreation Manager recommend Williams Architects of Itasca, Illinois to perform a professional assessment of both pools. The cost for the architectural and engineering assessment is $5,800. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you. And real quick, can we get the Lufkin Pool is opening this year. What was the price on the fix for Lufkin Pool?
Probably less than $400, Your Honor.
Just want to make sure. So everybody knows that Lufkin Pool is opening this year. I just want to make that very clear and out there for everyone. Lufkin Pool is opening this year. And we have fixed the problem with the liner for this year. This assessment is to go forward. With that, I will open it up for public comment. Any questions or comments from the public? Questions or comments from the board?
Mr. President,
Trustee Boltus?
what all is he going to do for us in this assessment? What's he going to actually assess, and what's the scope of service?
Thanks, Al, for that question.
Sure.
I'll pass out.
I think you were ready for that.
I will.
Sure.
Softballs are nice, right?
Yeah.
What I'm distributing is the Williams proposal. Staff in middle of December interviewed 3 highly acclaimed architectural firms, and after meeting with each firm, we discussed which one would best suit our needs. Actually, I do have the Williams. They've done a lot of architectural studies. I do have some copies of some condition analysis that they did on some pools, which kind of fits right with what we're looking for. So they best suit our needs. Just to go over, so the general public knows, the assessment or the proposal that I've just handed out includes 6 points. And the first one being the existing condition assessment of both pools. The scope of this first assessment, there's several items. It's on page 2 of that proposal. They'll collect all existing related drawings and reports provided by the Village of Villa Park. They'll review the applicable codes. They'll do site visit to document existing conditions, and this visit will include architects and aquatic engineers. Then they'll make their recommendations on whether we should order a site survey, soil borings, which we already did, or civil and environmental engineering services. They'll draft a report of their findings. Then they'll develop a list of recommended repairs and upgrades based on these findings, and they'll provide a matrix form identifying the life expectancy along with 3 primary categories. Those 3 categories are immediate repair, which will last from 1 to 3 years, intermediate repairs, which will last 4 to 10 years, and then long-term upgrades, which will be over 10 years. So after that, they'll provide a cost estimate for recommended repairs and upgrades, and then they'll provide a comprehensive report of their findings and recommendations. That's all for the $1,500. Then they have 4 or 5 other points for future, if we need it. Public input, if they find that the pool is irreparable, they'll get public input on the whole another process, new pool, what have you. They'll provide conceptual designs, they'll do an expense revenue report, they'll do a market analysis, and a final reports. There's 6 different areas or scope of the process. We're just concerned with the first one, which is the pool assessment.
Any other questions or comments from the board?
Mr. President,
Trustee Davis?
is that all of this is for that one price?
The item number 1, Trustee Davis,
That's just
That's-
it?
that's the assessment.
Everything else would be additional.
the 2 through 6 would be additional, right?
Thank you.
Mr. President,
Trustee
do you-
Bolfus?
do you feel, Greg, that this information in this first assessment will give us all the information we need to make plans for the future? Will
I
it be
do.
comprehensive enough?
Yes, and we express that to all 3 firms. That's what we were looking for right off the bat, is an assessment of both pools to see where we're at and where we should go from there.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. President,
Trustee Ayala?
we already know the pools need to be replaced, is my perception. Maybe inaccurate. But why spend $5,800 to be told what we already know? That we need
Well,
to
we
be-
really, I mean, that's our own assessment. We need the professionals to tell us what's really happening. We may be able to replace it or fix what the existing problems are, so they have to go through that whole, we can't just immediately say we're going to replace the pool. We should go through the following processes, and this is just step 1.
So your thinking is we should have an architect be there to tell us that we're right. And I appreciate that, just because it looks to me and you like we need to replace it, it might not be accurate. We could apparently occasionally be wrong and be told by an expert that maybe we could do something different.
Correct.
All right.
This is the firm that would be able to do that.
Any other questions or comments?
Mr. President,
Trustee Case?
what's a new liner compared to having these guys cost?
10 grand, Marilyn?
Oh, no, new liners are 50 to 80, depending what size you get.
One more quick question. I have a good idea, all the water is shut off at Lufkin Pool throughout the winter months? Because I always get asked why the windows are always left open there, up on top. Could you answer why they're left open throughout the winter?
I'll let Marlon handle that.
That's a pretty easy answer. We forgot to shut them, but the water is all off. We will take care of that.
Oh, I just get asked. Yeah, okay, easy enough.
Any other questions or comments from the board?
Yes, President Cullerton,
Trustee Bullwinkle?
$5,800, that's a realistic estimate? That's
Yes.
out the door, so no surprises later
No,
with
that's
change
it.
orders or anything like that?
That's it.
Okay, okay, that's it.
Any other questions or comments? Consensus?
Trustee Bolfus?
Yes.
Trustee Taglia?
Yes.
Trustee Bullwinkle?
Yes.
Trustee Case?
Yes.
Trustee Davis?
Yes.
Trustee Ayello?
Yes.
President Colleton?
This motion will move forward. Item 5, consider a resolution approving an intergovernmental agreement between the Village of Villa Park and Salt Creek Sanitary District concerning water service termination. Manager Keener.
Thank you, Your Honor. The Salt Creek Sanitary District Board of Trustees has requested approval of an intergovernmental agreement pertaining to water service termination for delinquent sanitary service users. The sanitary district is requesting the village to modify the existing agreement to amend the current practice to terminate water services for non-payment. Currently, the district shall post a termination notice at the premises notifying the occupant 3 days prior to scheduled termination, and is requesting to change it to 2 days. Public Works staff recommends amending the IGA with the sanitary district. Thank you, Your Honor. I believe Vetus will be able to answer the question.
Vetus, if there's any questions you'll be able to address? All right, fantastic. Any questions or comments from the public? Vetus, you might as well come up. I have a question. Realistically, yeah, Manager Keener and I discussed this earlier, and it's not as if we're doing a 15-day notice and we're cutting it down to 10. We're going from 3 to 2 days. What's the main purpose and what's the big?
Well, because we've been doing 2 days, but the agreement says 3, so we just want to change the agreement so it agrees with what we're actually doing.
So is what we've been doing legal?
Well, we've been doing it according to Villa Park shut-off procedures, so we're just changing their agreement so that their shut-off procedures match our shut-off procedures.
Okay. Fair enough.
Mr. President?
Trustee Bolfus.
So then we could probably assume that they were also delinquent in the water bill and in the sewage bill at the same time? And that's why we were using the village's 2-day shut-off rather than the district's 3-day? We can't.
Well, we
assume
do the shut-offs for them. That's what
Yeah,
this
I know.
agreement says.
that. I know.
So we've been following our own procedures. It's just that our agreement with them said something different. So we've been following our own procedures all along for our shut-offs.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Mr. President.
Trustee Ayala.
The way that it was written, I thought we were actually approving an intergovernmental agreement. We're not actually approving an intergovernmental agreement, we're approving a change to an existing intergovernmental.
That's correct.
Okay. All right, thanks. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments?
Mr. President,
Trustee Taglia.
Venus, how long has this been this way? Do we know? Since 2006.
2006, I'm told.
That's all I wanted to hear. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Consensus?
Trustee Taglia.
Yes.
Trustee Bullwinkle.
Yes.
Trustee Case.
Yes.
Trustee Davis.
Yes.
Trustee Ayello.
Yes.
Trustee Bolfus.
Yes.
President Colleton.
To move forward to the formal. Next item, review of bid proposals and award of contract for Iowa Community Center Project Phase 2 Playground and Park. Manager Keener.
Thank you, Your Honor. In July 2012, the Parks and Recreation Department received notification that an OSLOT grant was awarded for the building of a new playground and skate park at the Iowa Community Center located at 338 North Iowa Avenue. It is the intent of the Parks and Recreation Department to proceed with Phase 2 of the project, which involves construction of the playground and park. The architectural firm retained for this project, 3D Design Studio, and the Village of Villa Park Parks and Recreation Department recently issued a request for bid proposals to solicit prices from contractors for Phase 2 of the project. 13 contractors submitted bids. 3D Design Studio and village staff respectfully recommend the low bid from Forte Systems, Inc. of Plainfield, Illinois. The funds to be utilized are designated under account 34-502-02401. Thank you, Ron.
Thank you. Any questions or comments from the public?
Who was that contract? I'm sorry, Forte?
Pardon me, you gotta come up here and do anything for there and then state your name real quick.
I'm Steve Hartzos, and who was that contractor?
You sliced up the name of it.
I'm sure I did.
I'll spell it out for you. FUERTE Systems Incorporated.
Thank you.
And please sign in.
And if you could just sign it, that way the clerk's got it for the record and has the name.
Are you a Villa Park resident?
Yes, I am.
Okay, thanks.
Any other questions or comments from the public? Questions or comments from the board?
Mr. President,
Trustee Ayala?
how much was the bid? Am I supposed to, am I not supposed to know that?
No, it was,
Was it was in
270,
the package?
272,
I didn't get that far.
272,000 with an alternate bid of 69,000 as well.
Okay. Thanks.
341.
You get 341 total.
Okay.
All right, any other questions or comments from the board? Consensus?
Trustee Bullwinkle.
Yes.
Trustee Case.
Yes.
Trustee Davis.
Yes.
Trustee Ayello.
Yes.
Trustee Bolfus.
Yes.
Trustee Taglia.
Yes.
President Colleton.
And happily, this will move forward. When do we anticipate breaking ground? Real quick, before we move on to the next one, when can we anticipate breaking ground?
We will break ground, we'll have contracts prepared within 2 weeks and have a pre-construction meeting, and given weather, we'll start right away.
So hopefully we can be up and running with that whole new Iowa Community Center by beginning of summer?
Yes. Yeah, we would expect, I think we had completion early June.
Fantastic. And just for those who want to see, that's the new playground, correct?
That is correct.
We can get a camera view of that, or that'll be here in Village Hall if anybody would like to see, and we have a copy, I know, at Iowa Community Center as well, correct?
I believe so.
I think I saw it this weekend, so if anybody would like to see what the new park will look like, that is what's going in. Thank you very much.
President
Thank you all
Collerton?
very much.
Trustee Bullwinkle?
Manager Keener, can we put that drawing on the website? So the
We have a
residents
If we
can
have
see it?
electronic copy, do we have electronic copy?
We'll get you a.
We can get one, Dan will
Yeah,
get
it'd be
one.
nice to,
It's not only the play, that's just the playground, there's
Right.
still the bocce and the bago course.
Right,
and
yeah,
the
if you can show
sidewalks and pavilion.
everything.
There's
That
a
would
lot more to it than.
yes, right, yeah, that's why it'd be great to have it on the website so people can really get a sense, because it is,
We do have
A lot of-
a drawing of the whole park.
Yeah.
It's on there already.
right, so we'll include that, all right, good. Okay, thanks.
All right, and that will move to the formal. Item 7, advanced bill listing A, B, C, and D. Any questions or comments from the public? Questions or comments from the board?
Mr. President?
Trustee Boltis?
I just have one comment. I noticed on the last 2 weeks ago bill listing, some of the invoices on here then were from March, and now I see we have some on here from October. What's taking so long for some of these invoices to come through?
You get to explain that one.
Great. Trustee Boltice, those invoices were on an individual's desk and did not get transferred to the finance department in a timely basis.
Okay. So, okay, thank you.
Any other questions or comments from the board? Consensus?
Trustee Case?
Yes.
Trustee Davis?
Yes.
Trustee Ayello?
Yes.
Trustee Bolfus?
Yes.
Trustee Taglia?
Yes.
Trustee Bullwinkle?
Yes.
President Collerton?
And all bills will move to the bill listing, and we will now convene to the formal agenda. At home, you're probably hearing the wonderful music. All right. Item 1, Village President's Report. I only actually have one report, and it's to do not only with Villa Park, but also through for most of Illinois. Illinois has 900 non-home rule communities. Per what we went through in this crime-free housing, if I will probably be asking some of you to call and talk to other legislators. Senate Bill 1155 is a opportunity for all non-home rule communities to install the full crime-free program. We have tried this before in the past. I wanted to let you all know that it's something that I wanted here in Villa Park, something we even ran, myself, Trustee Boltis, Trustee Davis, and some former trustees ran a home rule referendum to try to get crime-free housing passed because we are a non-home rule community. Senate Bill 1155 will now offer the opportunity for non-home rule communities to install, if they choose to, the entire crime-free program. So I may need people to call and talk to other legislators to garner some support. We have worked with, I have the mayor of Hoffman Estates on board, mayor of Franklin Park. They're going to talk to their respective mayors and managers council. DuPage Mayors and Managers is on board with it. Mayor of Hoffman Estates is going to get the Northwest Suburban Mayor's Caucus on it. Franklin Park's mayor is going to make sure that the West Central Mayor's Caucus is on board with it as well. So we'll probably need to reach out to more of the south suburbs and further collar counties as well. But wanted to let everybody know that that's what's going on right now, just from my aspect. And with that, we will go to public comments on agenda items. Item 2, if you would like to speak on an agenda item, please come up to the podium. State your name.
John
and if-
Barsati. Oh.
Thank you very much, John. If you can write it down on the piece of paper there. And then this is on agenda items only, so items 3 through 6.
Okay, I have two comments, please. one on the consent agenda. Are the minutes of the board available for public inspection before they come to the board for approval?
No, because they need to be approved and then they get put on the website based on the board approving the minutes that are given to them.
The minutes are never read, right?
Pardon?
The minutes are seldom, if ever, read, are they not?
By who?
By the board before
By
it
us?
passes it?
Yes, we get them in our packet.
But you don't read them to the public?
No, the minutes are not read to the public prior to the board accepting them.
So the public has no way of knowing if the minutes should contain something that may have been passed over or not.
The problem is it's a legal issue because until they're approved, they're really not minutes, they're just drafts. So the board has to approve their own minutes and then they can be released.
Well, then, is a draft available for inspection before?
Only to the elected officials.
Well, I had an incident over at County of DuPage a few years ago where the minutes were being approved, and there was an error in the minutes which I had to bring to the call of the board at that time.
Well, I would suggest that you know, once they're approved, they're available for the public.
Well, they weren't approved yet. They were approving it.
Oh, okay.
And they were asking for public comment.
Yeah, I don't think that's, the proper procedure is for the board who creates the minutes to approve them. Then you can review them, and then after the next meeting, you come back and say, I would like to suggest some changes. And you sure have that opportunity, but we really can't release the minutes until the board approves them because they're not minutes yet, they're just drafts.
Okay. On item 5, the days that termination notice will be posted on premises, I believe. I understand that correctly? It is 3 days, has been 3 days prior, now will be 2 days prior to shutting off the water. Is that
Right,
correct?
well, we just went through that on committee of the whole, that the village has always used 2 days
Right.
because that is our standard.
Right.
And Salt Creek does not actually do any of that work. We do all the work.
I appreciate that, Mr. President. My question, though, is, are those 3 business days or 3 working days? Working days, or does that include the weekend?
Just 2 business days.
So,
So if it comes out of Friday, it would be Tuesday. Right. If it comes out of Friday, it would be Tuesday, so.
is this clearly stated in the ordinance?
Yeah, it is, and so the holidays don't count either, so.
Thank you.
Thank you, John. Any other questions or comments on the formal agenda?
Good evening, Cliff Duple, 60 East Oak Street. I'm here to talk about number 4. 2 weeks ago, you had it on the agenda, and you had it spelled out more than you have it spelled out today. And I was curious why so much less verbiage of letting the public know what number 4 really is. The first reading of an ordinance of the Village of Villa Park, DuPage County, Illinois, amending the requirements for bidders of construction projects. Whereas 2 weeks ago, you had it and you spelled it out, what you were looking for, but today there's less verbiage. And if you go on there onto the agenda via the website, you really wouldn't know what you're going to propose unless you were knowledgeable from 2 weeks ago. So that has a little concern for me. So I was here 2 weeks ago to talk about this, and after the meeting, I met with 3 gentlemen that were advocates of this. And I found out that all 3 are representatives of the union. And we had a very nice conversation downstairs. And I asked them if they could tell me how a non-union company could initiate this apprenticeship and training program approved and registered with the United States Department of Labor. And all 3 of them couldn't do that. And I was really shocked that if they were an advocate of this, they didn't know how to perpetuate it to come to fruition for everybody. Seemed a little conspicuous to me. So, but they did give me a couple suggestions. They said, well, they could go to their association
or they can go to other places of training. And so I called the Chicago Roofing Contractors Association, and they do not have any type of program that is registered with the United States Department of Labor. So then I called the National Roofing Contractors Association, and neither do they. So the avenues in which these three men told me that they should, that these contractors, small contractors, could go and follow, they don't have this system set up already. So then I contacted Mr. Wyatt, who is the three-state director of the United States Department of Labor, and he emailed me back what it takes. And so it's a short thing here, but it says almost all building trade apprenticeship programs registered with the United States Department of Labor Office of Apprenticeship are available both to union and non-union contractors. All registered programs do require on-job training that is provided by the contractor. So now he's going to have to hire someone, or he's going to have to go and pay someone to be designated by the United States Department of Labor to be suited for the education. And then the additional requirement is the education portion or related theory training that requires the apprentice to attend 144 hours per year of theory training. This training can be provided by a community college, a correspondence curriculum, in-house training, or qualified and certified trainers of a combination of all. There is a certain cost of this related theory training, and that is expected to be paid for by the contractor. Okay? So in other words, for implementing this whole program and having a 5-6 man operation would be virtually impossible monetarily to be able to implement this in their overhead and be able to stay competitive bidding. By implementing this program, okay, and the way this is read on your agenda today, it doesn't give the residents any knowledge of, is there going to be a dollar amount of that, anything over a certain dollar amount that will be a construction project that has to implement this apprenticeship and training program, or is it a zero? Everything, because the only way someone is going to be able to implement this in their business is by being a union contractor or a very large company that can have continuous training programs. A 4, 5, 6, 7 man operation will not be able to implement this. It's just not economically feasible. By implementing this as an ordinance, you will be eliminating all small contractors from being able to bid on your projects. And I just think it's wrong. So, thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Duple. Anyone else wish to speak on agenda items?
Bob Pirelli, 706 South Euclid, Villa Park resident. I spoke with the gentleman after the meeting, and we did tell him that there was avenues, and there are standalone contractors, there's standalone electrical contractors that are participants in this program. There are other training programs, ABC Contractors Association, which is a non-union association, which also offers it up. You know, where you're going is like saying you're going to get an education without paying. You don't get an education or degree without paying. We're asking for the highest qualified, highest skilled. Dollar amount, I don't have an issue with the dollar amount. This isn't to cut out the small guy doing little work in here. This is to prevent people from abuses in what's already a law, which is prevailing wage. That's all we're asking, okay? It's an easier way to monitor it. It puts people in our areas back to work that are participants in it, whether they're union or non-union, and there are non-union concrete, non-union carpentry that are participant in these programs. So it is not just a union issue. They would have every right to qualify as being in those programs. So it's not a union issue alone. And there are programs that have a limit on it. I believe the Chicago Public Schools, I believe it was $25,000, but there's more, and the highest one I knew was up to $40,000. So there are some, and then again, that is to utilize the smaller contractors to come in. You have a problem in-house, fix something in-house, fix a toilet, fix whatever it may be, that still are required by law to pay the prevailing wage rate, but may not have the ability to have that training program. So I don't believe that is an issue, and I would have no objections to putting some number on that.
Thank you, Mr. Perilli.
You're welcome.
Any other comments on the formal agenda?
Yeah, you know who I am.
Not
The
everybody.
residents at home might want to know.
Right.
Mike Erlenbaugh, forever resident. Yeah, I too wanted to also comment on number 4 here. And watching the previous meeting where this was discussed, kind of thought it was all over the place and found it very difficult to follow, so I got my hands on a copy of the ordinance. And really, I thought this was very straightforward, and I think this is really a no-brainer. All the controversy seems to be over this item number 6, and that is about how the people are trained who are going to be coming work in our public works projects. And this is really very simple. I mean, there's a lot of things, there's a lot of stuff going back and forth about union, non-union, whatever. By law, on these public works projects, you know, we're required to pay this maximum wage, this prevailing wage. And when you pay, I as a tax dollar, that's fine. If we have to pay the high wage or the prevailing wage, that's fine. When I pay a prevailing wage, I expect to get prevailing labor. And I want the best trained people on that project. In my business that I work in now, I'm a supplier of electrical equipment. I work with both union and non-union electrical contractors. And there's a big difference between the work that I see between the two. The training of the union people is much far superior. And I forgot my crop too. I had another thing that I wanted to add on to that, but I didn't. Let me get back on track here. Again, as a taxpayer, when we're required to pay a prevailing wage, we want to be able to have the best trained labor. And I've seen how these people on, at least in the electrical trades, on the non-union side, typically is strictly on-the-job training. And you might have one skilled electrician, and they'll bring in maybe 5 helpers at like $8 an hour. And this electrician's got to go to this guy and say, okay, this is how you wire an outlet. This wire goes here, this wire goes here. And he sets him off, and then he gets another guy, and he does maybe doing switches, and another guy's doing something else. This isn't part of a real training program, and this isn't something that I don't want to be paying this guy prevailing wage, who's not gone through a good and Department of Labor certified program of knowing how to do something like this. I've seen work by non-union sprinkler fitters where the heads are pointing the wrong direction, they're using the wrong straps. I've seen tile work that is uneven. These guys aren't getting the proper training. And as Mr. Pirelli pointed out, there's, the Association of Building Contractors, the ABC. Maybe they need to put together apprenticeship programs so that these people can get the proper training. But when it's my tax dollars, I want to make sure that the labor that I got coming to this job
is the best qualified labor possible. So it's really the onus is really on, again, I try to get away from this union, non-union thing, but the onus is really on the non-union side for these people to get together, create better associations or whatever, and build apprenticeship training programs so that they can bring their quality. And that's what I think somebody was mentioned last week, was something about leveling the playing field. And I think that's kind of what we're talking about is, you know, the union contractors are paying into a trust fund for their workers to be trained. They pay for that. That guy's paid, it comes out of his salary. And that's paid for by the contractor. These non-union contractors aren't paying for these guys. They're just throwing them, they're paying them nothing, they're putting them out there blind, and they're given tasks. And as they progress through their years, they learn a little bit more, just enough to become dangerous. That's what I see. I think this is a no-brainer. I think if we're going to pay a prevailing wage, I think we should have the best trained workers on there.
Thank you, Mike.
Hi, my name's Kevin Barth. I live at 144 East Kenilworth, and the whole reason why prevailing wage has come up in this country is because otherwise people will not be able to live in a community like ours, who are out there working for a living, trying to support their family. Prevailing wage is there for us to afford to live in Villa Park. Thank you.
Thank you, Kevin. Any other questions or comments for the public on agenda items?
All right, just one more. I forgot something. I got a piece of paper here from the DuPage Mayors and Managers where they were, it appears that they, says conference opposes this, this State Bill 2643 about prevailing wage requirements. And one thing that I kind of highlighted here, this requirement would have resulted in fewer eligible contractors, reducing competition, increasing project costs for the communities. I disagree with this. First of all, this requirement would have resulted in fewer eligible contractors. I think fewer, what's a better word for this? Qualified. We want qualified bidders, just not anybody bidding. We don't want to accept a low bid from somebody who really doesn't have qualified labor to do a project. That's my opinion anyway. Again, it goes back to, if we're paying prevailing wage, I want prevailing labor. If you have five contractors bidding on a project that support labor that has gone through an apprenticeship program, and five others, so you got 10 that, maybe 5 went through apprenticeship program, 5 that didn't, and you take away the 5, you take away 5 and it's only 5 bidders, or maybe it's even 2. It's not going to change the price. Even if it's only 2 bidders or 20 bidders, each company that's bidding on a project is going to give their best price. So I don't believe just throwing more bidders out there is going to, it doesn't make any sense that you're going to get, a better price. You might get somebody, and I've seen this a lot, you get 5 bids, 10 bids come in, let's say you get 3 that are very close and the one comes in at half. That usually means they forgot something. And I've been there, and I've worked for companies that have done that, where they did forget something and they're short on hours. So you got to really look at those really closely. So, all right, that's it. I think I've taken enough of your time.
Thank you. With that, we will move to item 3, the consent agenda. Can I have a motion on the consent agenda?
Mr. President?
Trustee Bolthus?
I'll move for the consent agenda.
Can I have a second?
Mr. President.
Trustee Aiello?
Second.
And that is A, minutes from village board meeting for January 14th, 2012. B, minutes from village COW for January 14th, 2012. C, minutes from village special meeting workshop for January 21st, 2013. D, approved bill listing dated January 28th, 2012 in the amount of $1,040,790.71. Any questions or comments from the board? Roll call vote, please.
Trustee Davis.
Abstain?
Trustee Ayello.
Yes.
Trustee Bolfus.
Yes.
Trustee Taglia.
Yes.
Trustee Case.
Yes.
Trustee Bullwinkle.
Yes.
President Colleton.
Consent agenda passes. Item 4, first reading of an ordinance of the Village of Villa Park, DuPage County, Illinois, amending the requirements of bidders for construction project. Can I have a motion from the board?
Mr. President,
Trustee Taglia,
I'll move for the first reading.
can I have a second?
Mr. President.
Trustee Case,
Second.
questions or comments from the board?
Mr. President,
Trustee Davis,
I'd like to table this, let the state decide this, because they still haven't finished it.
any other questions or comments from the board?
Mr. President,
He didn't say motion. He just
is
said
Trustee
he'd like to
Davis
table it.
making a motion?
I'm
to
making a
He
table?
didn't say he was
Sorry.
making a motion, he just asked to table.
Would you like to
Sir, I'd
make?
like to make a motion. I apologize.
That's all right. Second,
Mr. President,
Trustee Bolfus,
second.
questions or comments? I have a comment. I think we should vote on this.
Mr. President, you're doing a motion to table, there's no discussion.
Is that correct?
Technically, there's no discussion. We should just go right to a vote. Sorry.
All right. Roll call.
Trustee Case.
This is on tabling only, just on
This is on
tabling only.
tabling. No.
Trustee Davis.
Yes.
Trustee Ayello.
Yes.
Trustee Bolfus.
Yes.
Trustee Taglia.
No.
Trustee Bullwinkle.
No.
President Colleton.
It doesn't pass because it's not for it, unless you want to vote for it. You have the option to table.
No, motion doesn't pass.
Go back to
We
the
will
original
not
motion.
table. Original motion. Any questions or comments?
Mr. President?
Trustee Bolfus?
You know, one of our jobs up here as a trustee and as a elected official is to make sure that we do what we feel personally is the best for the village. If this item passes, the contractor that we hired, when we do hire contractors, we also, for large project, have an engineering firm or another firm that we also employ that oversees the work that's being done. If our in-house personnel aren't able to handle it, or if it's a large project, which these would probably apply to. So we do have somebody that watches over the projects, makes sure that they're being done correctly, they're using the proper materials, and that the work that's being done is done properly. We are required to pay prevailing wage, or the contractor is. So that is a non-issue, because we just, by state law, we have, the prevailing wage has to be paid. And then we have our people watching over the workers to make sure things are done right and fill out all the state reports and everything. If this had been in place when we put out the bid for the skate park, the guy who got the bid wouldn't have been able to bid, because he had non-union workers. And that bid came in low to, I think it was around $100,000 less than the second bidder. And then again, we had a firm that watched over to make sure things were done correctly. That's $100,000. That's, you know, that's a lot of money that we didn't have to pay out, and the work was still done properly and done well. So I don't see where it's an issue about how well the jobs get done, because we hire out another outfit to handle that. you know, what really upsets me about it, like the big item here is number 6. For the people at home who don't have a copy of it, or didn't have it from last week's. It basically says the bidder and all bidder subcontractors must participate in active apprenticeship and training programs approved and registered with the United States Department of Labor Bureau of Apprenticeship and training for each of the trades of work contemplated under the proposed contract. You know, to me, this is just, I would guess it's just another way of saying that they have to be a union place. That's my interpretation. You know, and I see people out there shaking their heads, but, you know, we all have our own opinions, and I think this is code language. This is code language that I normally would see from the federal government, House and Senate, or even from the state. I don't think we need code language here in Villa Park, but that's basically what I read this to be. The rest of the parts in here in this section 1, section B, section 1, number B, 1 through 7, are fine. We're already doing all that stuff. So this is the only one I think would cost Villa Park money, because we would not be able to get the best bid. And just because the guy didn't go through an apprentice program, with our oversight and with the firms that we hired, like we're doing with the skate park right now, when we had that work done, oversee it to make sure that everything is done correctly. One of the questions we'd have when we go through then, we're going through a swimming pool evaluation. If we go ahead to do major work on a swimming pool, how much more money is it going to cost us because of this? If we went through with a bond issue for the roads, how much money is it going to cost us? You know, even though we have firms that watch over, make sure they're using all the proper material and the work is being done correctly. So I just have trouble with that one clause in there, so I'll have to be a no. So, thank you.
Any other questions or comments for the board?
Mr. President?
Trustee Taglia?
One thing that I think I have a small issue with is something Mr. Corelli brought up, is maybe having an appropriate dollar amount attached to the contract. Like if it's a small job that might, like it's a quick fix in-house or whatever, something quick and easy, maybe there should be a threshold thereby to provide smaller jobs to smaller outfits without these constraints on them, in the hopes that they could continue to do these small jobs and hopefully become a big company and have the appropriate training program, which I think is very important for all tradesmen to have. So it's just...
Mr. President. Well, right now, as it stands, according to the attorney, that threshold would actually be 20,000, because 20,000 is where bids are required.
I see.
So 20,000 would be the max. If somebody would like to make a motion to increase that dollar, they can, but no bids are required on any project under 20,000. That is at the manager's discretion, that the board has given him authority to have. So that's what the attorney just brought up. So it's only when bids are required. Trustee Ayala.
I suggest that we table it until we get a number that meets Mr. Taglia's parameter, and that the board might have an opportunity.
The motion to table is denied.
Well,
So we're,
right.
however, you can.
This is not the same motion to
You can
table
make
it.
you can make a
For the
motion,
same
well,
purpose.
the motion to table was denied, so you can make a motion on a dollar amount.
All right, I'll make a motion on a dollar amount, since that's been squeezing my tailbone for quite a while, because I know this number's gonna piss a lot of people off. Make the number 250 grand.
So you're making a motion, to amend the ordinance to increase the dollar amount to 250,000.
Right.
Is there a second? Motion fails.
You try. You try.
Yes, you can, trustee Case?
Yeah, can I ask
Boy.
trustee Busquets a question? If you were to have a contractor come to your house, Are you going by referral, or are you going on a blue, or a phone book, or? There's not saying out there, pay once or pay twice. So you're gonna pay once for a qualified person, pay twice for an unqualified person.
So your question is?
Which one you're gonna go with? The person you just don't know of?
I'm gonna
or-
go on referral.
Okay, so
And
under
we do
referral,
that-
most of the time, that person's gonna be qualified.
And we do that with our bids right now, even though we put out bids, they have to meet certain requirements, and we check their backgrounds and if they're approved for the jobs they do. So that, we're already doing that.
So most of the time, people are out there looking at jobs or having people to do work are qualified people, or are gonna pay twice. I've seen it too many times out there, where they pay twice to have something done.
But with the way the village works, there's a list of approved contractors in the state if you're getting any state money. So they've already been approved. So if like we did a road and we got state money for a road, or if we doing a skate park and we got state money for a skate park, there's a list.
Yeah. If I remember right, I think the guy that did the skate park missed a lot.
Well, I think he missed 50 pieces of rebar, that's it, that he had left over, not that he didn't use them.
I think he missed paying benefits too from that state.
Well, you know, I don't know
That's his
about the,
problem.
I don't know about the benefits, that's, you know, like you said, that's his problem,
Yeah.
but, and that doesn't have anything to do with the quality of the work that was done.
Any other questions or comments?
Mr. President?
Trustee Taglia?
There will be a second reading on this, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, so, if,
If it passes.
We need to continue to talk about
all right,
this.
I'm jumping the gun. So, we still have time to listen to concerns from residents, small business owners, people who advocate good training for labor, and maybe a dollar
We also
amount,
have
something like that.
time to do a dollar amount. If,
Sure.
if anybody would like to put in with the manager before the second reading, please feel free to put in, or, you know.
Well, my
I
point
think
is
your
there's-
motions are done, Chris.
There's still
That's
time
why
to
my comments
address
aren't over
these.
that.
Mr. President?
Trustee Boltus?
Yeah. We already got a dollar amount, $20,000, okay?
Right.
Other than that, we're gonna just pick a number out of the air? You know, what's the number gonna be? $250,000, you know?
That motion failed.
That isn't, you know, what's a I don't know what that motion, it was a paper.
That motion failed.
You know, and the other point, we still have time, well, let's kick the can down the road a little farther, okay? You know, we'd be like the federal government, we'll just kick it down a little farther and put it off.
Well,
you
isn't
know?
that what we wanted to do when we were tabling this, until somebody else
Yeah.
decided?
Because I was trying to avoid this argument, that's what I was trying to avoid.
So we're
but if
kicking the
gonna have it
can
anyway-
down, so your argument is, why should we kick the can down,
yeah.
but we were going to kick the
Yeah,
can down?
we can play that game if you want, so.
Okay, well then, why don't we, does anyone else like to discuss, or should we vote?
I have one more discussion
We're
point.
gonna
All right.
vote anyway.
Go ahead,
We need
trustee
to
Ayala?
continue talking about it.
We vote for this, it's going to increase the cost that the village has in relation to projects that are over 20,000 anyway. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about that. Can you rest a little safer that the quality of the work is gonna be better than what it would have been had you not passed this? I think you can rest assured that if you pass this, the quality of the work, you could probably feel better that it's gonna be better on every project, and not from one project to the next, having some uncertainty. At the same time, you're gonna cost yourself more money. So, and there's no two ways around that. Both those things are true. You wanna pass this to assure yourself that you have that quality of work that meets a standard where people are required to have training, assuming their training is good enough. Maybe this helps. My personal opinion is I'm gonna rely on my staff that I've paid hundreds of thousands of dollars to make sure that my contractors that we hire are gonna fulfill the obligations that they have and perform accordingly under their contracts. And I'll rest assured that my staff is good enough to do that. And I don't need this ordinance to make me trust my staff to get that done. Judge once told me to shut up once I'm done.
So does that mean you're done?
Judge Wheaton says yes, I'm done.
All right, trustee Davis, I see your hand up, is that what you
Yes,
want?
trustee
Yes,
Davis.
sir. As you and Al know, I've always abstained from union votes, being a union member myself for many years. Been a union steward a couple of times, been on a couple of contract negotiations. I think that this still has bugs in it. I do think it is, let's face it, unions pay millions of dollars for lobbyists to get something like this enacted. I don't care what anybody says, it does affect the small businessman. Up here, I cannot wear my union hat, neither can any other union members. We're here for the residents, we're here for the businesses. There's a lot I can say about the training programs. I won't get into it now, it's too detailed. I think that there needs to be more improvement and more clarification on this program. I agree, we need to make sure we're getting the best bang for our buck, the good qualified workers. But on the other hand, we're also gonna start paying more. Like you said, skate parks are a perfect example. I'm not comfortable with out-of-state companies. That's one part I had. But we do save a lot of money with some of the non-union companies that are doing just as good work as a union member. And I'll tell you what, I know a lot of wrenches out there that are non-union, that are better than some of the union wrenches I know. So, you know, as always, Tom, or President Cullerton, you know I'll have to abstain. I always do with the union votes of any kind. But I just wanted to put that out there. I think there's more to look at this than what's at face value. I'll leave it at that.
So you're abstaining due to conflict, or you're abstaining because you
I've always
don't want to vote on
abstained
it?
when it comes to any union. And every contract we've talked about, I've abstained.
And your abstention, according to the attorney, will go with the majority?
Yeah, I know.
Okay. Just wanted to make sure.
I know, Tom.
All right, any other questions or comments?
President Cullerton,
Trustee Bullwinkle?
when we're looking at the prevailing wage, you're paying prevailing wage, whether you're union, non-union, labor. I think we're getting lost a little bit in this in terms of, we're talking about whoever puts a bid out there, whoever gets the bid, whether they're union, non-union, we have to pay the same rate no matter what. So, yeah, qualifications, skills, that's really super important here, but at the end of the day, it could go to a non-union job, or it could go to a union job. It depends on who ends up getting the bid. We have to pay prevailing, it's my understanding, we have to pay prevailing wage no matter what, is that right?
Yes.
So, you know, I guess I'm getting lost a little bit in this in terms of how is it potentially going to cost us more? Because of course we want to be fiscally responsible. We don't want to, you know, have our budget all out of whack from a project and whatnot. But if we're paying prevailing wage anyway, I guess we need to talk about that a little bit more then.
Mr. President? may I
Trustee
comment?
Bultis?
Where we make up the savings is the fact that more contractors will be bidding on it.
Right.
And possibly one of the ones that don't have the apprenticeship program as laid out in here would be the low bid, but we'll never know because he's not qualified according to this ordinance to bid. So we'd eliminate the possibility of getting a lower bid. That's my interpretation of it.
Mr. President,
Trustee Ayala?
that non-union contractor also helps to force the union contractor to a lower number so that we can afford the union contractor more often.
Wait, you two, let him finish, please. Go ahead, Trustee Ayala, say
That's
that
it.
again. You get 3 points.
I don't think I can do it again. That lower bid, potential lower bid from a non-union contractor also helps us to force the union bids lower so that we can oftentimes, or not on occasion, afford the union contractor more often than we would have been able to had that non-union bidder or non-qualified bidder not been available.
Trustee Davis?
My last thing. I think we're getting carried away with union, non-union. I think what it comes down to about the bill, it's the training part of it. That's what it comes down to, is the training part of it. this training could put some of the smaller businesses out of business or just out of competition. But I think we're all getting a little carried away with union, non-union. We're looking at it at that point when really it comes down to it's the training portion of it. So if we could bring it back to that part of the table, I'd appreciate it.
Thank you, Trustee Davis. Any other questions or comments?
Mr. President?
Trustee Taglia?
Something I brought up last time about apprenticeship training. There are some apprenticeship training programs that are very good. They're just not recognized by the United States Department of Labor. So another variable or question that I have is, what if a company has an apprenticeship training program that is very good, but just doesn't happen to be registered with or recognized by the United States Department of Labor? Is that language we could adjust maybe in the ordinance?
That would probably require one of our staff to go and have to investigate an entire apprentice program and cost even more money whatsoever.
You would have to set standards for the program.
You would have to set standards for the program.
The village would. Instead of the federal standards, you'd have to have your own standards.
Any other questions or comments? All right, seeing none, roll call, please. On the first reading.
Trustee Ayello.
No.
Trustee Bolfus.
No.
Trustee Taglia.
Yes.
Trustee Case.
Yes.
Trustee Bullwinkle.
Yes.
Trustee Davis.
Abstain?
President Colleton.
And that is a yes, and we'll move on to a second reading. Item 5, first and final reading of an ordinance amending Chapter 25 of the Villa Park Municipal Code, water rates. Can I have a motion on the first and final reading?
Mr. President,
Trustee Aiello,
we get on the bad side of everybody's world today. And move to have this approved. First and final reading.
can I have a second?
Mr. President?
Trustee Bolfus?
Second.
Questions or comments from the board?
Mr. President,
Trustee Davis?
not like we can do anything because Rahm Emanuel is holding us hostage.
Very glad that came out of your mouth, Trustee Davis, and not mine or anybody else.
I've been saying it
I
since
appreciate
day one.
That is Trustee John Davis, all the way to my left on the side. Just so everybody makes it clear and when that's on camera. Any other questions or comments?
Wow.
Roll call vote, please.
Trustee Bolfus.
Yes.
Trustee Taglia.
No.
Trustee Bullwinkle.
Yes.
Trustee Case.
Yes.
Trustee Davis.
No.
Trustee Aiello.
Yes.
President Colleton.
Yes, and that'll pass. Item 6, first and final reading of an ordinance of the Village of Villa Park, DuPage County, Illinois, establishing a registration fee for a solicitor's certificate of registration. Can I have a motion on the first and final?
Mr. President,
Trustee Aiello,
move to make it first and final.
can I have a second?
Mr. President.
Trustee, who was that on my right?
Davis.
Trustee
Rahm Emanuel's
Case?
friend. I will second that.
All right, real quick, Manager Keener, can you just explain what this is for everybody at home?
Yes, Your Honor, thank you. On a daily basis, my office gets solicitors coming in to fill out an application to solicit within the village. It could be the energy, it could be contractors for roofing or siding, etc. But they fill out an application in my office, and it goes over to the police department for a background check, and it comes back to my office for signatures and etc. So it takes quite a bit of staff time to actually do the background check and then stand there and oversee the application, etc. So $25 registration fee, I believe, is what is proposed, and I think, from my humble opinion, I think it's appropriate, and I believe it matches Elmhurst and Lombard, Your Honor.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments from the board? Roll call, please.
Trustee Taglia.
Yes.
Trustee Bullwinkle.
Yes.
Trustee Case.
Yes.
Trustee Davis.
Yes.
Trustee Aiello.
Yes.
Trustee Bolfus.
Yes.
President Colleton.
And the motion passes. Item 7, Clerk Kornacki.
Yes, I think just on behalf of the Kiwanis Club, wanted to thank all the residents and friends that participated in the dine-in and donate last Wednesday on the 23rd at the Dominic's Pizzeria. The benefits, 10% and 20% amounts on different checks were donated towards the Eliminate project of the club. So thank you very much on behalf of Kiwanis. Thank you.
Thank you, Courtney. 8, unfinished business, none. 9, new business, done. Village managers report.
Thank you, Your Honor. I'll try to keep it short this evening. We do have, I'd like to explain to the public and to the board and those present, we do have a budget adoption timeline for fiscal year 2013-2014. It's our intent to deliver the draft budgets to the board on or about March 1st. Our first budget workshop will be Wednesday, March 6th, followed by another budget workshop on Wednesday, March 13th, followed by another budget workshop on March 20th, which is a Wednesday if needed. The first committee of the whole discussion for the future fiscal year would be March 25th, followed by a public hearing at 7:15 on April 8th, which is a Monday, followed by the first reading of the budget and 5-year capital plan on Monday, April 8th at about 7:30 or so. And then the second reading would be April 22nd, which is on a Monday. And that would be the second reading for the budget and the 5-year capital plan. Also, just want to let the, yes, all meetings will be in this room. Just want to let the board and citizens and residents know and understand that the state of Illinois is almost 5 months in arrears in paying a state income tax, which amounts to about close to $700,000. If you could help us out with that, I'd appreciate that.
Thanks, Tom.
Additionally, the state's behind in 2 months of sales tax, about $700,000, Your Honor.
So that's 1.4.
And then additionally, the state's 3 months behind on utility tax for about $400,000. So could you help us out?
1.9 essentially?
Yes.
Cut that check out.
Yeah, the checkbook out. This Saturday is Coffee with the Board in the Committee of the Whole room. Want to give a quick update to the board and citizens on violations. Staff has recently commenced a sweep and has been doing an outstanding job. What we're going to do from now on is give you weekly and year-to-date totals of the property maintenance violations and things of that nature. So year-to-date, we have 219 property maintenance violations, and that's from January 1 to where we're at right now. Got 127 follow-up inspections, 37 site visits, 79 adjudication cases, and 47 tickets issued, with fines almost $7,000. 3 building inspections, 1 plan review, 20 vacant property inspections, 22 liens that are filed, 10 job stops with no permit. That's kind of a large number. Parking vehicles, citation 16, and then only 5 incidents of graffiti this year. And Your Honor, I'll bring this up every once in a while and make comparisons to last year, etc. next time. Thank you, Your Honor. At that, I pass.
Thank you, Manager Keener. Village Attorney's report.
No report.
Village Trustees, where did I start last time? On the left or? Nobody was here. Nobody was here last time. We were on vacation. Go with Trustee Davis.
Oh, thank you, President Cullors. And thank you for announcing the chili cook-off last meeting for me. The Pride Commission's annual chili cook-off, which was rescheduled due to lack of participants, but we're trying it again. Saturday, February 23 at the Community Rec Building at 320 East Wildwood. The contest begins at 7 p.m. Entry forms are available at invillapark.com, in the Village Matters magazine and Village Hall. Please submit them by Friday, February 8th. We heard the fire department can actually do some chili, but they haven't entered, but whatever. So anybody, please come on out. Oh, and the police department. Yeah, I heard you guys are no good either, but they try to get some competition. But if you can, please participate in this. The more, the better. And any questions, you can feel free to call me or get a hold of the commission. And that is all. Thank you, Mr. President.
And the applications are on the website as well, correct?
Yes, sir.
Fantastic.
Villepark.com.
Trustee Bullwinkle?
Hi, thank you. Yep, a couple things tonight, as usual. Manager Keener, looking for some updates. Number one, wondering if you could give me a status on North Park Mall.
Yes,
We
I
had the
can.
stalking bid process going on, and
Absolutely.
want to stay on top of this.
Final bids were due on January 18th, and so those bids have been submitted. Now what happens is they will select from the bids that have been submitted a stalking horse, and then what happens is that information is then revealed to the remaining bidders. They have the option of increasing their bid by the stalking horse bid has to be beat by $200,000 for, and then it goes in for increments of $75,000. So on February 25th, there will be an open bid at the attorney's office, and that's what will happen, is that they'll have an open auction at that time with the remaining bidders of the bidders who have submitted, who are pre-qualified, and they will then actually close on the property on March 5th.
On March 5th. So basically, we're looking at potentially a bidding war of some sort?
That's
Hence
right,
the
so
stalking
there are
horse
basically,
bidding?
so the, just for the audience, the stalking horses, because I explained it a couple weeks ago, but in case somebody didn't hear it then, is bids are submitted to the bank trustee or the real estate consultant that they've hired. They review that. From all of those bids, they pick what they consider the strongest bid. Not necessarily the highest bid, but the strongest bid. Maybe it's an all-cash offer, maybe, the contingency, there's no due diligence period. So they'll pick the strongest bid, and they identify that bidder as the stalking horse bid. So I think already, since the bids have been submitted, they have gone back to people and kind of said, give me your best and final. And then, so then they will pick from all those bids and say, this is the stalking horse.
Yeah.
Now, when it goes up to the open bid, they have those remaining bidders have the right to beat that stalking horse, but they have to beat the stalking horse, and then the stalking horse bidder has the ability to bid beyond what those people bid, but it has to be by more than $200,000.
Okay.
And then, once it gets past that point, if anybody's interested, past the first $200,000, then the bid increments are $75,000.
Okay. So it's going to continue to be interesting.
It will be interesting.
The bidders, do they have experience with retail shopping centers and things like that?
I don't
Do you know
know.
anything
I
about
don't
their background?
have privy to all the bidders, but several of the bidders have contacted me, and I've talked to some of them when they've had questions. All of them that have contacted me have asked if the property is in a TIF district. But it's not to say that every bidder has contacted me. There have been bidders, I would think, of varying qualifications, but the ones that I have talked to are all known to me.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll continue to watch this closely. It's a
We
hot
will.
piece of
And,
property and could
but
really.
The good news is that it seems as if it will happen quickly, because, so the February 25th is the open bid down at the attorney's office. Then, on March, I can't remember if it's March 1st or March 5th, the trustee will go to the court and ask for approval. I think it's March 5th. I think all the final paperwork has to be put in March 1. Then the trustee goes to the court to have the court approve the bidder that they've selected.
So the bottom line, this spring, we'll
Yes.
have an idea of what's going
Yes,
on out there.
absolutely.
Okay. Very good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for that. Manager Keener?
Yes.
Can you talk about what's going on in the chamber? We've got a little bit of remodel going on.
Yes, be happy to. We've received a few requests to redo the chambers. Obviously, if you take a look around, it's kind of worn in some spots and hasn't been updated in quite some time, including the carpeting. So what we're doing is internally, some of our workers have sanded down the walls, removed the old wallpaper, And we're going to repaint the walls. We're put some new trim on the dais, and we'll probably do a little new Formica up here. Should be done hopefully in the next 3 to 4 weeks, as long as it doesn't snow and flu. We don't catch the flu. So we're doing it all in-house, except probably the carpeting. We'll have that laid by someone else.
So in-house, saving a little bit of money.
Saving a lot of money.
Budget's what, around $11,000 for all of this? somewhere
Probably
about?
that or less.
Less, okay, great, thank you for that. Also, mentioned this before, and it's probably time to ask about it again, our $900,000 streetscape project that's on the docket. Can you give us an update on what's going on? You had a couple items in your weekly report, so I
Sure.
wanted to bring that forward.
Be happy to.
Thank you.
The $900,000 streetscape for Ardmore.
Which is funded through grant funds.
Yes, it is. We're through phase 1 almost. After that, we'll go into phase 2 and move forward. But phase 1 was a preliminary environmental site assessment, and we're almost complete with that. And then we'll move into phase 2 in cooperation with the state.
And this,
Director Vitas, would you like to add anything?
we can talk about the boundaries too, where this streetscape project is taking place, and what it'll include.
Yes, the project will be primarily lighting and streetscaping between the commuter lot and North Avenue on Ardmore Avenue. So it's basically that corridor. That was identified a long time ago during our original station area plan as an area to create a gateway into Villa Park and to the train station. The preliminary environmental site assessment, or PISA as it's called, basically is a paper search to identify areas of potential soil contamination. So once those are identified, then you look at the project and see where you're going to be excavating. And if you're going to be excavating in any of these identified areas, then you need additional investigation, which is the next step, is called the PSI, or the preliminary site investigation. So once you go through that, you incorporate that into the design to either remove or otherwise remediate the soil where you're going to be excavating that is in question.
Again, this is along the Parkway from North Avenue on Ardmore all the way to the tracks.
Right, so anywhere we're
both
going to be
sides.
excavating that they've identified potential bad soils, that will have to be investigated further.
Okay.
And the results will have to be sent to a lab, and then that'll be incorporated into the design specifications.
What's the timeline in terms of when the project will commence?
Well, every phase has to be reviewed and approved by IDOT,
Right.
and agreements to fund the project have to go through IDOT. So you're talking months for every single segment of that, just
this-
because of the federal funding.
Potentially this year, we could potentially start it.
Well,
the
we
project.
hope to start design within the next few months.
Oh, okay.
We'd like to get to
Great.
construction next fiscal year if
Mhm.
everything works out in a timely basis and review.
Got it. Okay, but it's moving along, and we're where we need to be or wanted to be at this point,
Well,
basically.
we couldn't go anywhere without the PISA. That's
Right.
completed now, so now we're going to send the results of the PISA to IDOT and go forward.
So we're basically on track.
Yes.
Okay, sounds good. And in your report, Manager Keener, I saw something about a mold issue, Fire Station 3.
Yes, that's correct.
What's that all about?
We have a mold issue at Fire Station 3, which is down by Willowbrook High School. We believe it's in the heating system. The vents and the heating ducts do have what we believe is an insulation inside the ducts, which during the summer gather liquids due to the air conditioning. We believe that the air conditioning unit may be too large for the building, but we have a scope of work from an engineering firm to go in and provide us with what exactly is causing the issue and a quote to remediate it.
Okay, interesting. All right. Electric aggregation, are we going to put the workshop schedule on the website so the residents know when we're going to be convening and talking about that? Because that's coming up pretty quick.
Yes, I believe that's coming up the first Saturday and Monday of March. Yes, that'll be on the website.
And that'll also be on the ballot on April 9th.
That's
for the
correct.
consolidated election, okay. So when's the first meeting?
It's the
Pulling-
first, I believe it's March 2nd, if
Okay.
I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, if we can, it was on the website, but if we can put the list back on the website, because I know we're going to be meeting with a lot of community organizations and things like that, so it'd be good to have that on the website. And then finally, I was asked by Kay McKean at Scarce, environmentally friendly organization, to make a quick announcement about the Illinois Food Scrap Composting Seminar on Thursday, February 7th. It's an all-day seminar, and it'll basically be talking about how to compost food scraps, and you can, either do it residentially or commercially, but it's all about composting and how to better utilize your food scraps. So just wanted me to make a mention of that. It's again Thursday, February 7th, 8:30 a.m., and it's at the Westin in Lombard. So if anybody has any questions about that, if you're interested in learning more, you can call Scarce at 630-545-9710. That's it.
Thank you, Trustee Bullwinkle. Trustee Ayala?
No, sir.
Trustee Bulbis?
Just one thing, thanks for the report, President Cullerton, on Senate Bill 1155.
You gonna make calls for me?
Well, yeah, you give me the names, and.
Actually, the good thing is Trustee Bulbis, once it goes to committee, I'll be asking you to come down and speak on behalf of it.
Oh, sure.
I figure you've investigated year after year after year, so we'll take you down there with me. And
Glad to hear it.
and
Do it.
I think it can be passed.
That'd be great. Oh, by the way, I think we have names of Southside
We do.
people, so.
We do. I've already made
couple
calls
years.
reaching out, and we've made calls to reach out to village managers over there. The key, as you recall, many times it was dealing with different caucuses and who actually brought up the bills. I'm hoping that
The right caucus.
that the correct political winds will blow, and we can get it accomplished down there.
Great.
And that's, and it's really not changing any laws, it's not mandating a new law, it's not changing anything whatsoever that isn't already on the state of Illinois books. It's just offering a level playing field for non-home rule communities. That's all we're asking for, that's all I've put in the statute. I haven't changed anything, so hopefully, since it's already something that's on the books, it'll be allowed now for communities our size who don't have home rule opportunities.
Who sponsored the bill?
I did.
Tee that up.
Thank you very much. You gave Greg a softball, thank you for giving me a softball too. Trustee Taglia?
Just a quick announcement on behalf of the Senior Concerns Commission. This Wednesday, January 30th at 11 a.m., CPA David Kane will be having a tax seminar for seniors at the Community Recreation Building, 320 East Wildwood. It starts at 11 a.m., and then afterwards, they will be having refreshments. So, that's it.
Thank you. Trustee Case?
Yes, since we're not passing a referendum for the roads, I know about putting it on the agenda, but I know we pay for some of the streets on the north side with our water bills, so I was wondering what else we can do about fixing some of our real bad streets with any kind of vehicle sticker or whatever we have to do. Mr. Manager Keener can answer that one, or?
You want me to mention it, or? Either way. Is it a budget issue? I mean, you can do it the budget, part of your budget program? No. The question is regarding whether or not, and we've looked into this, whether or not through the taxing authority for vehicle stickers, we can use that authority and not issue vehicle stickers, but still try to use that tax to raise some money for the roadway program. So it's kind of a non-sticker vehicle tax. The answer is we've investigated it preliminarily. It looks like it can be done. You can impose a vehicle tax, not issue a sticker, and it's just a question of, I've drafted a ordinance that probably may or may not be part of your budget discussions in the future, but it is an option that you may want to consider in the future. So it's kind of unique. There's only one or two of the towns that have considered it. It's basically using the authority of the vehicle tax, which is usually done through a sticker program, but not issuing stickers because there's a lot of enforcement and administrative issues, and then using that same tax and imposing it through a bill, which many other communities are using it to combine with their water and sewer bills. So we're taking a look at that, and that's just something that you may want to consider in the future regarding another source of revenue. So it's kind of a non-vehicle sticker vehicle tax. It's a very interesting concept. Like I said, you'd be one of the 2 or 3 communities that probably would have it if it was considered.
Trustee Case.
I'm not looking into the future. Too much of the future. Maybe before I'm dead.
Can you, And you said we have that, you and the attorneys have talked about that. Can you get trustee Case information on that as well as the rest of the board?
It's just an option. That's why, my first question was to the manager, whether it's going to be part of your budget discussions or where it's going to be. But it's something we investigated, we think you can do it, and it's just an option that you may want to consider.
If you can get that information to trustee Case and the rest of the trustees.
I'll do a memo.
And if there is, if the board would like to move forward with it, we can look at that at the next meeting, but definitely want everybody to, definitely want everybody to look at it before we say, let's just go ahead and do anything like that.
I'm looking for just to get the real bad roads done. I'm not looking for 22 million or whatever.
The amount would be set by the board, but it's the concept of this non-village sticker vehicle tax is what we're looking at.
That would take away from the police checking every car.
Correct.
Correct, thank you. That's it.
All right. With that, we will go to public comments on non-agenda items.
I'm not
Name
sure.
again, John, just say the name again. just
Again,
for-
John Barsotti, I'm on
Sorry.
here already, you know. you
Just want to make sure we get it all
Let
on
me
there.
get this down because I was distracted last time and I didn't really fill it all out, okay? Okay. The village website's page on videos of public board meetings is down, I understand? Yeah, every member of the board aware of that?
Yes.
Good. When's it gonna be up?
What was the question?
Should be tomorrow.
Good. Regarding the upcoming referendum, is there going to be, there's, on the ballot, there's going to be a referendum on,
Electric aggregation.
exactly.
And we will have open meetings on it in March, and I think we're talking to almost every community group in town. We've scheduled time to go talk to each community group, as well as having open meetings on it as well.
Have you invited those, Addison, for instance, others who have already approved it to come in and discuss
As
their
far
benefits? As far
Other
as
towns?
other towns having passed it and the benefits that the residents have approved are aggregate.
I'll leave it up to Manager Keener if he wants to explain what our explanation process is. Also, there's going to be another company that comes and helps us with the explanation process as well, who've seen what other towns have done, and it can show true results that other towns have experienced.
Yeah, there are definite savings.
Correct.
To the residents, right.
Correct.
So you want me to dovetail on that?
Sure, dovetail.
Yes, we've entered into an agreement with NIMEC, and NIMEC will take us through the process of the electric aggregation. So Sharon Durling will conduct the actual presentations to the local civic clubs and present during the public hearings in March.
She the one that was here the first one, a couple of
sorry?
months ago? She the one that was here the first time, a
Yes.
couple of months ago?
Yes, very talented.
Yes.
And, yes, there is a savings, it appears there's a savings. And we have not thought about inviting other municipalities. That's something that I can certainly discuss with Sharon.
I know she'll obviously have, quality results, what other towns have experienced as part of her presentation, but as far as inviting, I don't.
She has a spreadsheet of everybody that they call.
Thank you.
Thank you, John. Any other public comments on non-agenda items? And with that, can I have a motion to adjourn?
Mr. President.
Trustee Aiello?
Move to adjourn.
Can I have a second?
Mr. President?
Trustee Bolfus?
Second.
And just for the public's knowledge, next village board meeting will be February 11th. Can I have the ayes to adjourn?
Aye.
Aye. Seeing no nays, meeting adjourned.